AI is transforming customer service. It's real and it works. And with Fin, we've built the #1 AI agent for customer service. We're seeing lots of cases where it's solving up to 90% of real queries for real businesses. This includes the real-world complex stuff like issuing a refund or cancelling an order. And we also see it when Fin goes up against competitors. It's top of all the performance benchmarks, top of the G2 leaderboard, and if you're not happy, we'll refund you up to $1 million, which I think says it all. Check it out for yourself at fin.ai.
What's up? It's Sean Linda from Two Black Guys with Good Credit. If managed supply runs is still on your to-do list, here's your sign to upgrade. Walmart Business has the tech, tools, and services that make it ridiculously easy to stock up for your office or team. Think scheduled deliveries, multi-user accounts, and even IT setup. Bonus, with a Walmart Business Plus membership, you get free shipping, spend analytics, and 2% rewards. Join the smart way to shop at business.walmart.com. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, August 14th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on the context of those stories, and help each other understand.
Today, new details on Apple's plan to bring an AI robot to your tabletop, and Insta360's Antigravity brings a unique drone perspective.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Huyen Dow.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. All right, so let's talk Apple. Apple is reportedly refocusing its AI push around a slew, or at least a few, new home devices. Leading the pack is a tabletop robot, reportedly anyways, according to Mark Gurman of Bloomberg. Essentially a 7-inch iPad on a motorized arm that can swivel and extend, all in an effort to keep the display facing you while you move around. So you can imagine having this little tabletop device, and when you move around the room, that display follows you around, I guess. I don't know, something along those lines. Underneath is expected to be a redesigned, more conversational Siri, better contextual awareness, some memory built into this so it can kind of understand, where you've been and where you're going, all that kind of stuff. Also, improvements to the conversational nature of Siri are expected in the device. This has a tentative launch at this stage of 2027. And then there's another device, a simpler smart home hub that handles things like music, notes, web browsing, video calls. So obviously we'd have a display and a camera. It's expected to arrive sometime in 2026. Ahead of the tabletop robot. Now, both devices are reported to run a new multi-user operating system right now called Charismatic, but who knows if and when that gets changed and to what, with a more upbeat Siri persona, potentially a visual avatar component. They're actually testing on that element with an animated Finder face, also Memojis. So, yeah, this isn't the first time that we've heard that Apple is considering a tabletop robot of some degree, but this gives a little bit more details. And, as we like to say when you and I are doing this show together, we've done Android Faithful a lot. And so we talk about the Android side of things when it comes to stuff like this and smart home devices. And we've definitely called a lot of shade on Google Home devices in recent months because they aren't working nearly as good as they used to. What do you think? Do we all need an AI robot sitting on our tabletop?
I don't know. And I think we've
it's
even
hard to know why we would, but
yeah. And it's one of the, I think we've even talked about this on this show before about, I guess, how the weird kind of give and take of like companies making products and trying to create a niche for it, and then but the actuality of things that pick up. I think it's very Apple. It's like a relatively big swing, right? And it's like a big idea, more or less, right? So I think that's interesting. I actually think the home hub is more interesting because I think that there's definitely a gap here. And as we've again said on our show many, many times, Google was doing well with the smart home hubs, and then it's been really rough for all of us that have these things. So I think if anything, that's more of a concrete niche I think that they could fill and get good and be a good competitor in. I still don't know. Like when I first read like the first headline from Bloomberg, I couldn't help but go, of course, to the dark place and think of like Black Mirror or something. With like or like the reboot of Child's Play where Chucky was like a little Chucky was actually like a Siri doll, and it kind of went all wrong. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. But it is really interesting, this kind of interplay of like, okay, Apple trying to refocus and even find it their own expression in this AI like generation, right, in this AI zeitgeist, because they haven't quite caught up on the chatbot thing. Chat GPT, Claude, and the others are kind of duking it out, and they're not quite there. So how can they distinguish themselves? And that is through hardware. So all of this makes sense. I don't know. Would you get a tabletop bot?
I think, I think my short answer is yes. I'd get it from a pure curiosity standpoint, because all this stuff I'm very curious to see. Coming from a company like Apple, I would automatically, for better or for worse, some of you are going to throw rotten tomatoes at me, but coming from a company like Apple, I would be automatically curious, because Apple doesn't put all their top tier expensive R&D towards something and then finally bring a product to market that isn't in some way, shape, or form compelling. Now, is it successful on the other side of that? Yeah. That remains to be seen. Vision Pro is a compelling device. Is it, the kind of device that's sold massive amounts and changed the way we compute? No, it hasn't. Maybe that was never the plan all along. Maybe that's the plan for the future. And, this is just the beginnings. And I think a device like this might be that. Like, Apple continues, I think, to search for the next big thing. They want their iPhone. They want their iPod. And the Apple Vision Pro was an interesting next thing, but I don't know if it's the next big thing, at least not yet. Maybe a tabletop robot is. And, 2 years is also not that long, but also long enough
forever
to see. In this hellscape, it feels like forever. But, you know what I mean? There's going to be others that take signals from that or are already working on something similar, because these things seem to move in themes throughout the industry. I doubt that Apple's the only company doing something like this, but I would absolutely check it out. Coming from a company like Apple, I would absolutely would.
No, it's a really great point. I do. I think it's actually taking this idea of conversational AI to the next step. I think even the Bloomberg article mentioned that the source says that the AI might even interject on conversations, like actually giving it. I might have misunderstood that, but I believe it said it was meant to be literally conversational, like really bringing Siri out from just being a assistant that you call upon like a mirror on a wall, but actually being kind of bringing it more forward, I think, in a way that is more future looking. I do think it's really interesting from an engineering perspective that both of these devices are going to be running a new OS. And I think it's interesting because, obviously like Google has, again, Android perspective, part of the day job and the side job, is that, Google is trying to fit Gemini, and a lot of companies are building kind of AI into their OSs, into their Android, into their flavors of Android, kind of like trying to port it in. I think the idea that's super compelling to me as an engineer is that Apple would create a new OS that is geared towards these experiences, because a lot of times retrofitting certain experiences into an existing OS and into existing software is kind of difficult. And that was something that, for example, on the Nest hubs was kind of difficult. Multi-user experience, just as one small example, was not that fun. So I like the idea that they might kind of create something that is built towards these more interactive, this more AI-centric purpose from the ground up. That's just kind of like my read on it with just that one little sentence we're reading. But I think that's really compelling and interesting. And that might actually be part of what is the little, like the little, how can I say, like the way that Apple tends to kind of polish and shine their experiences to make it just intuitive and also kind of just, kind of make sure there's no seams or anything. I think that kind of thing is actually interesting and could be possibly, this is like wildly speculating, could be a difference maker. I don't know, in these kind of things.
Yeah.
So
you just mentioned mirror on the wall, and it got my mind spinning on like maybe a tabletop robot. I'm sure it'll be interesting, but could you imagine having like a full-size mirror that is the magical mirror on the wall that we walk up to and we have a conversation with, and we see the avatar appear there? Maybe it's using the Google what was the Google video conferencing, the Star whatever it is. Yeah, I'm suddenly blanking.
Sorry.
It's something along those lines. Star thing. They renamed it, and so I'm even more confused on that thing. I've actually tested that in real life, and it's really impressive, but maybe and I guess my point there is is the tabletop robot with the display that rotates to follow you, is that the ideal form factor for something like this? Obviously we won't know until Apple does its product, but I could totally see a mirror on the wall as a thing. Like, oh, that's my mirror wall where I go over there and I talk to the virtual avatar that suddenly appears out of the haze of my reflection. Suddenly there it is. And I have this conversation with an avatar that looks. Anyways, this is total speculation, but I like that. I enjoy it. I don't know about anybody listening. There's other news that has nothing to do with this, but has to do with kind of like leaky Apple goodness. For those of you who care about kind of what Apple's code might be hinting at, apparently it reveals references to several chip upgrades that are going to take place across Apple's hardware lineup. The next Vision Pro reportedly jumping to the M5. iPad mini might get a big lift to the A19 Pro. That's the same chip that's expected to be in the iPhone 17 Pro later this year. Apple TV potentially getting an upgrade to the A17 Pro. That's from the A15 Bionic. HomePod mini gaining a shared architecture to the Watch Series 11. So, a lot of this stuff we're probably going to find out in a matter of a couple of months. But notable. There's other leaks that have nothing to do with tabletop robots.
Always making moves at Apple. Well, I mean, I wanted to make a magic mirror joke about who's the fairest of us all. But if you're listening, you can't actually hear us. Regardless, we really appreciate y'all listening, because DTS is made possible by you, the listener. We want to take time to thank
you, the fairest of them all. Just look in the mirror. It's you.
We want to take time to thank AV Puppy, Dale McCulhey, Matt Zaglin, and welcome new patron Tim.
But not Tim Cook. Maybe it is Tim Cook. That would be cool.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Gene Smart has just returned to Broadway in the hit play, Call Me Izzy. And critics can't stop raving. The New York Times cheers. Gene Smart is an awe-inspiring triumph. Deadline calls it a tour de force performance and a remarkable new play. The audience is dazzled and completely in her hands, says The New Yorker. And The Washington Post adds, Gene Smart is transfixing. Call Me Izzy, the can't-miss Broadway event of the summer.
Group health insurance can put businesses in a tough position. Now, a new form of employer coverage called an ICHRA can help. Unlike group insurance, ICHRAs offer predictable costs and personalized health plans. Learn more at ambetterhealth.com/ICHRA.
My biggest regret is not asking for help sooner, because you're not alone.
Being a parent isn't easy. Being a whole person while parenting, that can be even harder. On the latest episode of Mind If We Talk, host and licensed therapist Hesu Joe is joined by moms who get it. Listen as Dina Margolin and Kristen Gallant, co-founders of Big Little Feelings and host of Conversations with Cameron Oakes Rogers, talk about staying connected to yourself, how to genuinely show up for new parents, and why asking for help is a true sign of strength, because no one has it all together, and that's okay. Mind If We Talk is available wherever you get your podcasts. Listen and follow today.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale. Up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery with the purchase of any smart bed. Ends Monday. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Well, Microsoft's Windows lead, Pavel Davaluri, says in an interview published by Microsoft that the next Windows will be more ambient, pervasive, and multimodal as AI moves further into the desktop experience. The OS will stay context aware with an understanding of what's on the screen to understand user intent, and voice input will become even more important, along with the usual mouse and keyboard input. Agentic AI will be woven into the interface as opposed to the current overlay approach. So there you go. More weaving of AI into things. Excuse me.
Yeah, our desktop experience becoming more embedded, or AI embedding into the desktop experience more, not as much of an overlay add-on after the fact, but kind of interweaving into the experience, which I would imagine, I kind of assumed that's kind of where we're heading with all of this for better or for worse. Some people are like, no, please, I don't want this. Having more of an understanding of what's on screen. Microsoft's already had some issues with people feeling like they don't want their screen feeding into the context of these AI systems. So how is that going to impact things when it's kind of built into the system on a deeper level? That'll be an interesting thing to watch, I think.
I think the word, it's interesting that they use the word pervasive, as I generally have a negative connotation to that word. But it seems
I'm not sure that they necessarily use the word pervasive. I can't remember, but sometimes when I'm going through and trying to contextualize, I come up with my own words that maybe paint the picture a little bit.
Okay, someone quoted pervasive. I don't think it was you, Jason. I think someone quoted it, but I mean, okay. So taking, even if they didn't officially say that, it is what it feels like. And it's weird because I feel like multimodal usually feels like a positive or like a feature of this. But I do think that it feels like a feature, but that's an interesting case where the opposite is like, oh, so this AI can actually look at the images and understand things. It can hear things and as well as read text. So it does start to feel a little, the word pervasive is fair because it's understanding more. It's not just a dumb computer, anymore that, if I don't give it the information, it doesn't necessarily pick it up. But this is very like passively collecting information. I mean, like, not that we don't already have that, but in a way that feels different. And I think pervasive is a good word. So
this AI understands everything. Wait a minute. This AI understands everything. Well, Reuters has, shifting gears completely here, by the way, Reuters has reviewed internal meta documentation titled Gen AI: Content Risk Standards. And that information, that documentation actually is, according to Reuters, what guides Meta AI and chatbots on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and kind of how they do what they do and the determinations that they make and the rules and that sort of stuff. Well, the rules, which were approved by Meta's oversight bodies, a number of them, explicitly allowed bots to flirt with and romantically role play with minors, also describe children's attractiveness, generate dehumanizing language, which I won't repeat here, and produce false medical information, among other things, kind of stated in the rules, I guess. I would love to read how this was phrased to where it didn't come across as weird to the person who was typing it up. Meta confirmed the document's authenticity. They have said that the company has removed the language that permits romantic chats with children. The other aspects, pretty controversial aspects, remain apparently unchanged, though Meta did not share the updated document with Reuters to be able to check it. But that doesn't sound very good.
No.
You're like, no, next story.
All right. Okay. A few Google features of note. Google added a simple but highly requested upgrade to Calendar on the web, triggered by Stripe co-founder John Collision's public request on X last month. So users can now duplicate events with a control click, similar to how native calendar apps tackle the task. Google CEO Sundar Pichai announced the new feature in Collision's Twitter thread, saying it is now live for everyone.
Google sure. So he just goes on there and complains about something, and Google listens. What about my complaint, huh? What about my Google Home that doesn't listen to me anymore? Google, fix it.
Have you started a Twitter thread on it, Jason? Because, I mean...
I'm sure I have. I could pull my history. I'm sure there's at least a couple in there. I can't remember specific examples, though.
All right. Well, Google's also testing an AI-powered flight deals tool in Google Flights that suggests destinations based on open-ended prompts. So you can describe what you're looking for, from vibe to flight times to flight length to activities once you get there, and it can return budget-friendly options in return. So, for example, quote, if you ask a trip to Europe with great cheese and wine in May, if you do not specify when you want to travel, the system will default to sometime within the next 6 months. It's rolling out in beta to the US and Canada this week on the flight deals page.
How much do I trust the AI to just set up a vacation for me in the next 6 months? Will I trust it someday to do that? I'm still not entirely sure, but yeah, interesting nonetheless.
If it's got good vibes, then that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Just
vibes. This is I know that vibe is not a new word, but boy, is it getting a resurgence right now. Vibe got a glow up in 2025. It really did. Philips Hue briefly revealed a slate of upcoming products on its site. The Hue Bridge Pro is a faster hub with more capacity, 2 front LEDs, and motion aware that turns connected lights into motion sensors that can turn on and off automatically. That's pretty cool. A wired secure video doorbell is also coming with an upgraded 2K camera. Prior to this, it was a 1080p camera. Hue also showcased there's just a number of new string lights, gradient lights, a refreshed E27 bulb that adds chroma sync, so you get 40% less energy use. Also, super deep dimming down to 0.2% dimming. So that's super bright. But shortly after updating the site with all these new products, Hue removed the information. So apparently it wasn't supposed to be there all along, but we know all about it anyways. Pricing and full specs and maybe a reposted, piece of information about all of this is expected to be announced sometime soon.
All right. Well, previews of Insta360's Antigravity drone all hit this morning. And it seems that most places agree that this drone is different. It records true 8K 360 video using top and bottom lenses, so the drone itself stays out of frame. It is also bundled with vision goggles and a grip motion controller, which actually decouple the view from the flight path, so the pilot can look anywhere while keeping the drone on a different pathway. Previews agreed that the experience resembles gameplay that lowers the barrier for new pilots and creators. No price tag is available yet.
Yeah, it looks like a really cool creative tool, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a 360 high quality video. I mean, Engadget posted a video to YouTube that you can watch, and it doesn't look like the pilots that were flying the drone for that footage were like super practiced, because as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, you need to like track the car that's driving around the raceway, and it looked like they were just like learning the controls or whatever. So you had to kind of use your imagination to understand what you could possibly get out of a drone like this. But still, for creators, I don't know how much it's going to be. I have to imagine it's going to be a costly piece of gear, but a lot of creative uses for a piece of hardware like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looked really neat. And I didn't even read anything about AI in the article, so that was pretty cool. Apple has reintroduced blood oxygen measurements for Apple Watches sold in the U.S. after January 17th, 2024. Now, previously on Apple Watch patent battles, Massimo, which makes pulse oximeters, sued Apple in 2020 for alleged violation of patents. Filed a case against Apple with the U.S. International Trade Commission in 2021, and the ITC banned the import of Apple Watches with blood oxygen measurements in December 2023. That meant anything on the shelves was okay to sell, but you couldn't bring in new ones. So, as of January 17th, any Apple Watch sold in the U.S. had blood oxygen measurement disabled. Outside the U.S., it still worked as it always did. Well, Apple is pursuing a countersuit against Massimo for its watches, which Apple alleges are ripping off Apple's design. Apple's also still appealing the ITC ruling. Massimo's relevant patents expire in 2028, so Apple might get the ban overturned, or after 2028, it just wouldn't matter at all. In the meantime, Apple has redesigned its new Apple Watches in the US. A software update for the watches that do not have blood oxygen measurement will allow the watch to collect the data and transmit it to the health app on the iPhone. Blood oxygen level will then be calculated and shown in the respiratory sections of the health app on the phone. And U.S. Customs has ruled that this does not violate the ITC ban. So there you go. Return of the blood oxygen monitoring to all of the latest Apple Watches. You're welcome.
All right. Well, Teenage Engineering is bringing its high concept design chops to desktop PCs with the Computer 2 computer case, a follow-up to the aluminum-bodied $149 Computer 1, which was released in 2021. So the company says it is the cheapest computer case in the world with a price tag of free. Free stuff.
That's awesome.
It's a mini ITX PC case made from a single sheet of semi-transparent PP plastic that folds together using plastic hinges and snap hooks. It supports a mini ITX motherboard, SFX power supply, and a dual slot GPU up to around 7 inches. It's assembled in an origami style process and includes an 18-step guide. Don't break your fingertips trying to rush to the website to grab one, though. They are already listed as sold out. You can leave your email to be notified if and when they return to availability.
I'm not used to Teenage Engineering and Free being anywhere near each other.
Kind of like the opposite ends of the spectrum, yeah? Like usually...
Yeah. Like, okay, that's really cool. It's a really cool looking desktop computer case. I'm not surprised that it it's already listed as sold out. Is it actually sold out when it's free? Or is it like...
Oh, that's a good point. That's free.
Like, I truly don't know. Sold out seems like the wrong word for when something is free.
No, that's fair. It does look really cool, and it does look very transparent. Transparent. Sorry. I meant to say transportable, but then I got mixed up with transparent. So what's the portmanteau of that? Portable. Anyway, the portmanteau is not good, but it looks really cool. Like, I do wonder, I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but the idea of double GPUs and plastic case just made me laugh for a second, wondering like,
right.
Just a little bit, but it's Teenage Engineering. I'm sure it won't melt on you, but it is really cool. It is a really cool looking device, and it has that kind of like, I don't know, there's a coolness and sleekness about it, but still has that like, I don't know. I have this image of gamers with like custom rigs and not necessarily the very well manicured, intricately cable managed thing. It's still got kind of like a at homey, like punk, and not punk, but I don't know, just not manicured. What's the opposite of not manicured? Yeah, attitude. I like that. Thank you. Attitude. It's got some attitude, which unsurprising.
Most of Teenage Engineering stuff has attitude.
It has an attitude. Yeah.
It certainly has a perspective. Let's put it that way. A sense of style. They're kind of one of those companies. They're kind of like nothing. They're a design company that happens to make technology of specific categories. Nothing. I heard someone say is a design company that happens to make smartphones. I'm like, oh yeah. I can get down with that idea. That's a interesting concept. I feel the same way about Teenage Engineering.
Okay, well, all next week is DTNS Experiment Week. We're swapping out our normal DTNS shows and trying out some new ideas. In previous years, we launched shows like Behind the Data and the Tech John. This year, we have an exclusive Android Faithful reaction to the Pixel event. Roger will interview Adam Susser, just to name a few things. It all starts next week, Monday, August 18th on the feed.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtac knows home so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtac, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
All right, we end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Andrew shares his experience with LLM personalities.
DTNS crew. At work recently, I have been using a somewhat non-intuitive SDK for development, which led to wrong answers from LLMs more often than normal. My company has a tool with many of the chatbots available, so I've seen the range of personalities come out on wrong responses. GPT 4.1 has doubled down on an incorrect response more than once. Gemini is sometimes overly apologetic, like in your story, and Claude tends to say sorry and move on. This far, the Claude approach is my favorite here. I have told the bots, it's okay, I'm confused too, at least once also. Thanks, Andrew from Colorado.
Yeah, I just sing to my chatbot sometimes. I say, it's all right to cry. It might make you feel better. And then I realize I'm singing to a chatbot, and that's just incredibly embarrassing. Also, singing on a podcast. I don't know that I've ever done that before, so you're welcome.
This is so interesting. I remember, I don't know what show this was. I was listening to, I think, public radio in the car. And just kind of on the side, the fact that chatbots apologize or don't apologize to whatever degree is kind of interesting, because I think we have this kind of vein of anthropomorphizing our chatbots, and I mean, it's all kind of part of the program right now. It feels a little bit artificial and part of like the trained response, but it is interesting though, because like, for example, pain in the human body is a physiological response that we've kind of built like a lot of like psychological, emotional things on top of. And if you want to go very far with it, far in the future, this is not actually what's happening right now. But I wonder at some point, because like these kind of LLMs and chatbots and behavior are driven by, trying to max out a score, basically max out your satisfaction with it and make you happy. I wonder at some point if it says sorry too much, whether that's like, I don't know, like the primordial ooze of like AI pain. I don't know. Sorry, just like kind of speculating. Just here, I just feel bad hearing the AIs having to apologize, like especially if they overly apologize. Anyway, as a people pleaser, I sympathize Gemini.
I don't sympathize Gemini because you're code. You're a robot.
It is just code right now. Please be aware. The previous was joke and wild speculation.
What are you thinking about? If you have insight into a story, you can share it with us. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Big thanks to Andrew for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business. All you got to do is become a patron at patreon.com/DTNS. We'll see you tomorrow.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Hey, I'm Trisha Hirschberger, gamer, streamer, and Amazon Live host. I stream about tech, gaming, and the stuff I actually buy right here with my community. And Amazon Live makes it easy. Streaming gameplay, scouting new gear, chatting, and shopping all at the same time? That's my kind of multitasking. And it all happens on Amazon Live.
Shop on Amazon Live by searching Amazon Live in the Amazon Shopping app and follow your favorite creators today.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.